Hello, everybody. I believe that we are now live, and this is the official launch party of
Last Figure Standing.
There you go. No expense spared. So I can see that the chat is already filling up nicely. We've got plenty of people watching already. So I'm not going to go through everybody in the chat saying hello because it will take a long time. We've got a lot to get through tonight. But if somebody can just confirm to me in the chat that you can hear me to start with, because I was on mute earlier when I was trying to talk to the people in the green room. And yeah, so we'll wait for that. I think they're saying I can. So that's good. So today with me, we are launching the official Last Man Standing poll. You would have seen lots of stuff about it on social media recently, hopefully. And basically, it's a way for us to get some market research, stroke data over to Hasbro for the things that the community want. And with me today, I have Chris from Bankstar.
What's up, tuna? We gonna have some tuna for dinner? I bet you're sick of tuna, right? Probably have tuna every night. All right, tuna.
Big tuna.
You know, I've had a lot of nicknames over the course of my life. That's my favorite, and it was completely accidental.
How you doing, Chris? All right?
I'm doing well. How about you, Tim?
Awesome, good man. And we also have Mr. John Miko.
Oh. hashtag ballots.
No sound for that one, unfortunately. How you doing, John? All right, mate?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, man.
Good. And we also have Jason.
I lived in that.
That's all I could come up with in the short period of time that I had, guys. But it's all right. It's all good. But yeah, so welcome everybody to the stream. We have got loads of people watching already, which is awesome. And as I said, yeah, this is the launch party for the Last Figure Standing. And I'm going to hand over now to Chris to give you a completely detailed talk on what overview. It is, an overview. And yeah, so you've got 39 minutes starting now.
So just so everybody knows, I lost the coin toss in the green room. That's why I have to do this. I didn't want to do it. I'm not prepared here to do it, but let's see how it goes. So do we want to go, how far back in history do we want to go, Tim, on this?
Yeah, day one.
So since that, you know, I think the abysmal 2020 Toy Fair is what brought us all together in some way. Since then, John Miko's been bugging me to do some sort of polling, and we actually did one for the Empire Strikes Back 40th anniversary. We did an unofficial fans poll for that. And then my CMS upgraded and I no longer had the plugin for polling that was free. So that's why polling kind of stopped from my end. But John's been bugging me to do this. And then, you know, so it's always something that he wanted to get going. You know, then March Madness obviously took off, you know, and that fills a great niche for the community. But still, you know, wanted to do our own thing in a slightly different format. And if you've seen the write-up, the reason for it is, I don't know how about everybody feels, but I've always been frustrated for going back to the beginning with the fans' choice polls, because you always had, you know, 5 or 6 characters, everybody voted once. And invariably one of them would get, you know, 29-30% of the vote, and that's the fans' choice. But really, 70% of the fans wanted something else. How can you call that the fans' choice? And if you look at them, you know, it seems like almost every other one is a peg warmer too. If you go down them, and the one thing I do have to remind everybody, about the one for 2007 is that Quinlan Voss was actually the winner. He won the Fans' Choice poll, but he was already coming in the comic pack. So they gave the title to the runner-up, which was Revan. And if you remember that comic pack, the winner, that comic pack peg warmed mightily. Then, of course, they did another comic pack with Quinlan Voss, and it peg warmed. And then the 2012 release of Quinlan Voss in the Vintage Collection, and guess what that did? It peg warmed. So the idea, and I've said this, going back to even earlier than that, you really need to, instead of having 5 or 6 figures duke it out at the same time, you really need to do it like, unfortunately, the only example I come up with is American Idol, where you, over a course of rounds, you eliminate the worst performing ones. So that, and again, with the Dr. Aphra one, you had 3 figures from the OT. I believe it was Simalu, Yakface, and the Emperor. You had 2 from animation. You had Ahsoka and Rex, and then you had Dr. Aphra by herself. Well, if you take those broad categories, more people wanted something from the OT and from animation than wanted Dr. Aphra. So the theory is if you could have been eliminating from those categories, if Rex fell off, chances are all his votes would have went to Ahsoka and she would have won. And I think it would have been a more popular figure than Dr. Aphra ended up being. It's kind of amazing that, that Dr. Aphra wasn't too widely available, but you can still find her pretty easily on the secondary market, pretty inexpensively.
Yeah.
But that's the Fans' Choice winner. So then I don't know how it happened that this started now, just started up now, but I guess John's incessant prodding, and then you, Tim, and of course, if you want reach for anything for the fan community, you got to bring in Jason. You're not going to get enough participation, and Jason was very gracious to help us along and promote this. And it's, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but it's so far exceeding, I think, all our expectations as far as the participation we're getting on it, which is outstanding.
Yeah, and we want to stress that this isn't designed to replace any other polls. There's room for, I think the more noise around TVC, the better. We wanted to get this one off the ground. Next year we will be doing it earlier so that it's not so close to March Madness. And we'll be, of course, fully supportive of March Madness as well, just like we always have been. It's always great fun. This is just more information that we can offer to Hasbro, and you might see some correlation there, which will probably be a good thing, I guess. But we're doing some things slightly differently. We're going to mix it up a little bit, and it doesn't mean it's better or worse or whatever, but it's just more things going on in the community. The more people are talking about TVC, the better. I'm pretty sure that the people that collect the Black Series would love to have this much sort of thing going on around it,
It speaks to the passion again of the TVC community.
Yeah, we actually had a couple comments about please do this for the Black Series as well.
Yeah,
I think after Tuna cleanses the data, he's never going to want to do this again. So
yeah,
good luck, my friend.
And we just want to say a big thank you to everybody that has already submitted their top 10. I think we're close to 1,000, which is pretty amazing considering it's been 2 days. I think we've been asking now for submissions. To get to 1,000 already is amazing, and obviously, Jason's a big part of that. So thank you for sharing it all and everything for us, getting it out there. But we want more. If we're doing this live stream now, and we want more people to do it. So the more we can get it out, the better, and the more data that we can get. So, Chris, do you have some dates written down there about, when people have until to submit a list, and then what happens after that?
So, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be springing this on all of you, my 3 other streammates here, but in looking at the response, and what John said is I volunteered to do the data cleansing along with my wife. We've volunteered to do that. So we originally said, we'll take submissions up until, the Wednesday. That's what we've been putting out there. Until Thanksgiving Thanksgiving, excuse me, to do that. And I'm actually thinking maybe we should cut it off the weekend before, just so we have enough time to go through and do this process. So haven't officially put that out there. I think we're going to see the trail off. I don't think, John said to me, he goes, I mean, we're not going to get any much extra participation after the first week. And I said, yeah, I was just trying to time it for the long weekend, so I have time to do it. But I'm realizing if we stop it a little sooner, I'll have even more time. I'll have 2 weekends to do it. So if that's okay, we'll look at maybe the Saturday before Thanksgiving to close off the nomination phase, where you can put the top 10 in, and then on Sunday we'll do a live that Sunday after Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, which Tim, you're one of us in spirit, so you better celebrate Thanksgiving with us.
I'll get the turkey out.
Yeah, eat yourself silly.
Send you one.
And so the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we'll announce the top 10. At which point, Mr. Miko is the Google Form guru here. He will make the voting live for the community, the assembled top 10 from the community. Which is it's just going to be raw votes. Whoever 1 point for every time a name repeats, and part of that cleansing process that John's talking about is, I think I've seen Luke Skywalker from A New Hope entered 25 different ways, and just perusing it. So we have to get all those over to Luke Skywalker, Tatooine. We'll have a sanitized name for these, so we have to migrate all these different ways. That's gonna take some time. Once we do that, it's just gonna be every time that name comes up per person. It's 1 point for that, and that will determine the top 10. Will determine the top 10 from that process. Will determine the top 10 overall. And then for round one, your chances are your personal top 10 is not going to entirely make it into the community top 10. So once we get to the community top 10, you'll be allowed to pick vote for up to 5 of those figures, that you want. Starting immediately after that, the top 10 live stream, and that will go on through the next Friday. And then on the following Saturday, we will eliminate the bottom 4. We'll do an elimination show, and we'll eliminate the bottom 4 from it. Mm-hmm. So now we'll be left with 6. And then, so we'll just do this Friday and Saturday going forward, where, we'll do the show on Saturday, start the voting. Then on Friday, we'll end the voting. Saturday, so we'll go from 10 to 6 to 4 to 2, and then the winner will announce on the December 23rd.
Yeah,
that's what the schedule is right now.
I just want to highlight Scott's question. He says, so my list is basically my March Madness top 10 list, and I guess you could take it like that, but I think the difference is that March Madness asks you to pick newly tooled figures, like 100% newly tooled figures. Yeah. So for example, if I was doing my top 25 list for March Madness, then perhaps I might not put like a Sand Trooper in there, for example, because essentially that's just going to use the Stormtrooper sculpt that we've already got. So in my mind, that's not 100% all new figure. Whereas in this, it's completely open. You can put whatever, as long as it's a single character, not a dewback or something, not a creature or anything. You can put whatever you like. So if if there's something that's like we maybe use like the legs of another character, for example, to get that figure out, you can still vote for that in your top 10 because you want that character so badly, So that's the difference. But yeah, it might be your top 10 is your top 10 from your top 25 as well. That is right, guys, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, probably a majority of the community doesn't listen to that even when they do the top 25 for March Madness. But yeah, you could totally leverage your March Madness list that you're gearing up to select your most wanted for this as well. So,
and I don't know about you guys, as you're going through the process, it really made me think, there's things that I put, it's bizarre. There's things that I put in my top 10 in March Madness that when I realized I only had 10,
Yeah.
I gotta put. I took them out of my top 10 for this process. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's like a psychological component where I don't have Kiadi Mundi on my list just because I couldn't bump the other characters off of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will go through our personal top 10s in a little bit, and you can talk about your own thought process for each character and what have you. Not everybody thinks the same as each other, and everyone wants different things. And looking at the result sheet or whatever, already there is like a vast amount of different characters. Everybody seems to want. There's the classics that a lot of people want that are going to do well, but there's a lot of range of different things just from looking at it quickly, which is great.
Yeah, there's even your buddy's twin brother, Ping Krell. So
yeah. There's the odd typo. But Chris, I think
Good
Chris
luck,
knew who
Chris.
that was supposed to be.
Nope, I don't want Pong Krell, so I'm gonna fix this. As I said to John, when I'm cleaning the data, when I don't know, it goes to Luke Skywalker. So Ping Krell, I don't know what it is. It's Luke Skywalker. My favorite is still Batman Skull instead of Balin Skull. That's my favorite one.
Skull.
A lot of people have asked this. Delvian, he's put future scope for vehicle, creature, and playset polls as well. And this is something that I put to the SWTVC guys, because obviously March Madness was such good fun. What are we going to do for the next 12 months? And I remember John saying, obviously it is a lot of work to that they put into that. So, but of course, if that's something that people want, then obviously we'll look at it.
Maybe that's something we could talk to at the end of the stream too, not to interrupt what we're talking about right now, but maybe at the end we could talk about a vehicle poll because there's an important component to that.
Yeah, we can mention it. Yeah. Okay. So
there is a comment there, Tim. Sorry to interrupt you. That said, where is it? Hold on. Rogue Killer at 515. Can you highlight that? I didn't include the OG main figures in my list because Hasbro said they are working on them. I'll just preface, right, and any of you guys back me up. I did not take anything into consideration. I didn't. Nothing's guaranteed, so I wanted to list. This is what I want, and if it's been told, I know in a San Diego Comic-Con interview we did with Patrick and team, they said, we know they're on. We know about Make the Mains. They're not going to come out all at once, but rest assured we know. So, anyways, for me, nothing's guaranteed. I'm going to list everything I want, regardless.
Yeah, and this is where I think, as I say, people think differently, because in my March Madness, those sort of 3 or 4 characters were like 1, 2, 3, even 4 in my list, but I haven't put them, spoiler alert, in my list this time because of Rogue Killer's comment there, because we know we're getting Leia, and I think Emily and Patrick on a live stream, I think one of them said, it's the first one or whatever. So I kind of like took that in my head that I'm kind of hoping that we're making enough noise about those. But as you say, John, nothing's guaranteed, and some people are just going to put them on their list, and that reinforces them as well. Do you know what I mean? If they are planned, it reinforces that. Do you know what I mean? But
right, like if they were,
sorry, Jason.
I was gonna say, like, let's they're obviously, they have waves and stuff kind of figured out for the next couple years, let's say. If one of these figures that does well is coming up, but not until a couple, maybe not next year or the year after that, but it might help them if they're watching, or if they're planning, helping this, use this to set their wave assortments. Maybe seeing one of these figures do a certain, rank a certain way, they might get that in before another figure that they weren't quite sure on. Like, let's say when they're trying to build out the wave,
They might bump
this
it or
polling
something,
will
bump it
help
up.
determine their internal ranking.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as I say, nothing's off the table. Like you list how you want to list. And that's just, as I say, everybody's different in how they construct their lists, and that's great, because that, just by the sheer fact that everyone thinks differently, that gives you a lot of range in the results. So
can I add one more thing on that before we move on, just to keep piling on the same subject? I think it's never been officially said, but I think we all suspect that the licensor has a big input on the line. Right. Disney has a lot of influence on the line, and we just had the SAG strike, the Screen Actors Guild strike end. So they're probably going to be scrambling to put, new content out there, and they're probably going to put pressure on Hasbro to have, figure support for that new media. And that's just going to push legacy media further and further out. Even if it was on the plan at one point, if it's not locked in, it can easily get swapped out for a new media figure. So even though they made that kind of that assurance at SDCC, one, it doesn't mean that that's going to come in at a pace that we can tolerate.
We want, yeah.
That could be, that's pretty open end. That could be 6 years. So to Jason's point, for these show well, that can get truncated down to 2 or 3 years. And two, it doesn't mean that was just Hasbro's intent. And as I'm trying to, indicate, they're not the only vote. So they could get over, even if that's their intent, they could get overruled. So those doing well, even though we suspect it's, they're going to make a good faith effort to make them, there's still a reason to push for them.
Yeah. I need to redo my list then, Chris.
I'm not making the graphic again, Tim. So
I've got some killers on there, man. I've got some killers on there. Don't you worry about that.
Ponkrell
10 times. Like, with that being said, shall we move on to like one of our lists so we can talk about them? Shall we? Jason, do you mind if we start with you?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure.
If I pull the graphic up, hang on a second. I'm just going to want to find Jason so I don't spoiler alert the others. There we go. Right. Okay. So present.
We were talking behind the scenes before we started here, and I forgot how hard it was putting personal lists together, considering, with all the new media that's come out, and, the figures that, it gets progressively harder as the years go by. But
absolutely, yeah.
This is my list. No particular order. It was just kind of what popped in there first, and they all kind of front loaded for original trilogy. Like I said, no particular order, but the first one that did come to mind was 2-1B. I've always wanted a new version of that figure. It was one of my favorites as a kid. It was one of my favorite Power of the Force 2 figures, just because, I don't know, there was just something about that figure that I've always loved. And, they tried to revisit it back during Revenge of the Sith, and that never sat right with me. That figure was too small. And just, I assume it's not meant to be the same model of droid, but we can't reuse that one for this. We need to go more like the Power of the Force version, a bigger, kind of a bulkier type of figure. So that was, like I said, that was the first one on my list. FX7, and again, we've talked about this a little bit before. A lot of my stuff is based on existing figures that need to be out there again, or cannibalizing, kit bashing existing parts to make new figures. FX7, we had that in Power of the Jedi line, and then it was reissued. in those 3-packs.
Mhm.
But a solid figure. I don't think anything. I mean, if it were to be redone, they should they should use what they did for Power of the Jedi. I think to reissue that or revisit that character. Maybe just some added paint as far as weathering goes, but that was a 100% solid figure. And that's made my list for years as far as getting it back out there.
Great card back as well. That one, classic.
Right. Simalu, another long time requested figure to get one of those original 96s checked off the list. Lots, I think, the underpinnings of that figure could easily, I think, be recycled from existing figures. You know, Bib Fortuna legs. You know, just anything they can do to cost out. You know, getting us this version of this figure, and it doesn't have to be 100%. You know, brand new tooling. My first
sweet Simalu.
Simalu,
Say that.
Deveronian from the Cantina. Again, could probably be kit bashed from various, you know, more recent vintage collection figures. But, you know, having a new Cantina alien is one of those things that we need to check off a list. And this also provides, you know, a never before done modern figure on a vintage card. So a man. They did that one for the comic pack a while ago. What was that? The Legacy collection, I think it was.
Yeah, this figure causes a bit of not arguments, but you know,
Right.
People have got certain opinions about this figure. Like I put the Power of the Jedi version one in my cabinet behind me with the Jabba's Palace playset. I'm struggling to, you know, get him to stand properly at the same time as hold the staff. It's really quite annoying, actually.
Right.
And some people actually prefer the comic pack one, but then I look at the comic pack one and I'm not sure if it's as good.
Right.
So
a man does not have toes. You can't use the comic pack one.
Yeah.
No toes on a man.
Maybe the body, and then
Yeah.
use some new legs and articulated arms or different arms, something like that. But
yeah.
Again, it doesn't have to be 100% brand new. Republic Commando, and I specifically didn't want the Bad Batch version just because I want a bulkier Republic Commando figure, and this also, you know, this might serve as an all new tooling, but it would go towards providing a whole lot of potential other figures where it, you know, could be the 4-packs, the repaints to make the other, you know, Sev and Scorch and all those. You could use that base to expand the line and really make, you know, take advantage of the tooling if it were to be all new for that figure. Captain Vaughn from the Clone Wars. We have the new body for the clones, so I think slight retooling of that to make Captain Vaughn, and that will eventually then be reused to make us a new Cody.
Yeah, like that one. Good plan.
Queen Amidala from Theed Palace.
Nice.
There's, you know, you might be able to get away with using the Yavin ceremony Leia legs or something like that. You know, some tooling could probably be salvaged to get us a figure, but it could be all new. It's a bigger, you know, with her dress. I don't know if we would go soft goods for portions of it, and you know, we wouldn't want a traffic coner like they did with the Power of the Jedi version, but that was high on my list, and I think I wanted some additional prequel representation on my list.
Maybe they could leverage the new Leia coming out. Her
right.
The pipelined Leia there, her lower body or something, you know.
Yep. Asajj Ventress, again, I think the Morgan Elsbeth figure is going to provide.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that.
Yeah.
for possible Ventress, and we haven't had a decent. There's been several different Ventresses out there. I think from the comic pack and the obviously the Clone Wars animation version, but getting a live action quote unquote version, I think could be easily achieved by using what we already have for parts. And then Chancellor Palpatine. This is the Senate arrest version. Again, I think.
Oh, in the red, yeah.
In the red, yep.
Yeah.
Again, some additional. There's the pipeline Darth Sidious. There's probably legs that could be used from that figure, because he's all under robes anyway. And I'd like to have him include like a switch out head, so you got the post, Mace Windu Sith Lightning melty face.
What's the one?
Ready?
Right.
Yeah.
That is my list.
It's a good list. Yeah.
Great mix up.
I'm loving the Captain Vaughn, definitely, because that helmet's got like that visor on it, hasn't it, for the Cody. There's a few that could use that.
And the Davaronian, wasn't there a big smuggler in Rebels, right?
Right.
I forget his name, but I feel like that can be repurposed for a few different things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is a good example of a list that where the polls differ. This is not as you've just gone through those about how potentially they could get those out. It doesn't have to be all new, because as much as we want Simalu, I do as well. You can't really see them sort of spending the budget on a completely newly tooled Simalu, personally. So
right.
They're going to have to leverage other parts to put that figure out at some point. So yeah, awesome, man. Who would like to go next? Did you just put your hand up, John?
Sure.
Right, let me just
Sorry if it looks like I'm sleeping. I put my mic too high, so I keep looking at the screen. It looks like I'm sleeping. But I do have a Neanderthal forehead. Sometimes my wife thinks I'm sleeping on the couch, but my eyes are open. So, sorry.
You got those Homer Simpson glasses.
Yeah.
Make you look like you're awake.
Yeah. While you're bringing that up, Tim, I'll say this was hard for me too. I felt like a couple of my, as I'm sure we've all done, is we go back and forth, and we start with maybe 20, and we whittle down the list and move figures in and out. And a couple of these for me, I think, were not just what I wanted, but I thought that felt deserved to be in the line on even behalf of the community or their performance or portrayal. So I'll give a quick summary of mine. I know it's pretty OT heavy, but 7 OT, 6 character debuts, 5 A New Hope, 5 Return of the Jedi, 5 aliens, 3 mains, 3 Jabba goons, 1 PT character, 2 new media, and 1 serial child murderer. So got to throw that out there. But yeah, so just starting with Luke and Han, right? I mean, we've obviously been talking a lot about the mains for a while, and just some of the newest sculpting, just amazing sculpting of likenesses, to the engineering and the deco. I'm really looking forward to these 2 characters and how they do them. I will say, I hope they have the 100% new tooling, and I hope they have all of the advancements and engineering and articulation there. So really excited to get Luke and Han. I know obviously a lot of the community is too. The next one for me is Hammerhead. I know I recently did a little piece on it, and Chris was and Brett were gracious enough to put it on Bantha Skull. But obviously the Black Series has gotten Doc Ondor. I'll be honest, I didn't know who Doc Ondor was until he was announced. I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge, and if I had been there, I probably would know. But hopefully that could mean something down the road, that they could leverage some of the digital sculpting.
Did they got Hammerhead pipeline? Did they not, Jason? Do you know? I thought they did, but maybe I'm wrong.
For the Black Series?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I thought they did. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're already using it, mate. Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
I don't always keep up with everything going on with the 6-inch. So cool. But yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean, as we've talked about, this guy can't sit. And hopefully someday we get a nice little cantina and we get a Hammerhead and he can sit down and have a drink. I do love this figure too, by the way, but he needs all the premium articulation and sculpting that there is today. And then we have the Tonicas. I think, we're going to see probably the Tonicas on a lot of lists. That's one of the ones for me that might not have made my own very selfish list, but they're overdue. There's been a lot of noise for them, and they deserve their place in the line. So bring on Senny and what's the other one? Bria. Bring them on. And then from there we got our beloved serial child killer and savior that brought balance back to the Force because of his son's unconditional love and hope for him. So I had to throw that my favorite little expression out there from him, where Padme's making him giggle a little bit. Oh, don't you do that. It's one of my favorite responses in some of the posts in the Facebook group. From there, one of my two new media choices is Cobb Vanth. I can't believe we don't have him yet. I also have his speeder, or his bike, whatever you want to call it.
Can we really call Cobb Vanth new media? I mean, he's been around for.
That's true. Yeah. What's he been around for now? 3 years, maybe? 3+ years? Yeah.
He was in
exactly. That's a great point.
It's old new media.
Oh, that's true. I even forget about that. That's right. He comes from.
It is quite amazing that we don't have him yet, considering the armor he's wearing. Anything Boba Fett gets made, doesn't it? Or, it's just...
And that's the film out there I chose, right? Is that first glimpse at him when we just see this tall, skinny dude, wearing Fett's armor. So I'd love to see the armored version of him and have him up against, fighting along with the Mandalorian. From there, one of my favorite aliens as well, Shasa Teal. I know a lot of you guys, big fans of her as well. I think there could be some leveraging potentially of some tooling too, but I have a custom. Shout out to John Evergray and his amazing head sculpt. Stan Appiel, rest in peace. He sculpted the body for this one. But yeah, obviously that can pay for itself going forward with some of the other issue tips that have been in some of the newer media, and I know in some other Return of the Jedi and stuff like that, right? Then there's good old Fozek, So big fan of him. I also have a custom of him from John
Oh,
Evergray.
the head
And,
sculpt on that is amazing.
Yeah, John Evergray head sculpt. I mean, wish I could,
Yeah, well, I'm
absolutely
sharing your
amazing.
screen at the moment, so I can't make your screen bigger at the moment.
All good. Yeah, and shout out to Chad Peak who did his Trident Force Pike and his Bashers and Pauldrons there. But Chris, I think you've written about these characters, right? And just Fozek's all over the place in Jabba's palace, whether he's standing next to the rotisserie behind Jabba, to escorting Luke and Han up the stairs, to dragging them out, and then sounds like something you get on a prescription. Yeah,
I thought I'd put that up. I quite like that.
Absolutely. But yeah, so right, and then he's having a drink with our buddy Jizum on the barge. So it would be great to get Fozek. And then Yatseren, another character debut. I think it would be great to add him to our second skiff now that the prisoner skiff is completed, and it would just be a really nice, I think, Jabba Goon character debut to get. And then I think this guy is obviously on a lot of our lists and going to do very, very well in all sorts of polling. And Ray Stevenson stole the show in Ahsoka, and good old Balin Skull.
Good
Yeah,
list.
very good list. There's a couple of there that would make my top 25, but as you say, it's so difficult to do a 10. And we'll see later who I've got. But yeah, solid list, buddy.
Thank you.
There's some definite ones that I would love on there. Chris, should we move on to your list?
Yeah, let's get the hate over with.
No, I don't think so. Let me just find that image. There we go. Present.
Oh, a great dragon.
There we go. Big Tuna. Take it away, Big Tuna.
I'm happy that Nick is in the comments, because you can see there's one character very heavily represented in my top 10. And yes, this is basically a big make the mains for mine on this. I don't think I need to belabor Luke and Han, just like John had on his list. Absolutely critical that we get those two. And as you can see, around me, I like to set up scenes. So even though those are unique characters, I need 4 or 5 Lukes. I have a little Ben's hut set up. I got a cantina set up. One for the land speeder. So I need a few of those, and then a bunch of Hans to throw in my different scenes. I just wrote about the snow trooper the other day, just as John did about Hammerhead. I have my kind of my Hoth set up here. I have a good 24 snow troopers, and I just have no desire to put that figure out. It really can't hold the E11 in 2 hands. The only reason that figure can do it is because those E11s are so rubbery, you can curve it to get it into the other hand. So that's just not acceptable to me to have any character in 2023 that uses an E11 not to be able to hold it in 2 hands. And then just to go over all the releases you get out of that, you automatically get the deluxe with E-Web, so it's a second release. You get the Troop Builder pack, where you could mix up the dirt in battle damage, so it's a third release. Slight retooling gets you to the Snow Trooper Commander. You need new shoulders to invert the shoulders. You need the lieutenant badge and a different, slightly different cowl. but it's not a lot of tooling to get to another basic figure release. And then finally, the one that I push for is repaint it for a comic exclusive. I mean, a convention exclusive or a store exclusive as the Blue Stars from the Uze bootleg.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to have a modern figure of that.
I've heard you say that before about that figure, and that would be that's the kind of like I've always said, I don't really like gimmicky things too much, but that I would love, because that is a definite nod back to,
And the name, they've actually been canonized in the novel Last Shot. It's a canon novel, and they're mentioned in there, so it's not even all that gratuitous. Though I would want if they could, I would want the Uze card where the card is just the figures themselves, in some sort of diorama. The Death Star gunner using a calculator or whatever.
Yeah.
Type it is.
So the Snow Trooper figure that we've got at the moment, the one from the Vintage Saga collection, I always feel that because he's got swivel hips, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he's like in a weird stance, isn't he? Because
Yeah.
I presume 4 maybe the cannon, like he's almost in that sort of holding the cannon stance, and that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I don't really like that figure. I mean, he looks all right from a distance. Detailing on him is quite good and everything, but yeah, I'm with you. We need a new one of them.
And even with the way what they're doing with the very soft, vinyl-y plastic now, you might be able to do the cama in plastic too, and still have the full range of motion, which would look a hell of a lot better than the one we have. Then continuing along on the by the way, so these first 4, these are definitely my top 4 ranked choices for March Madness as well. These will be my 1, 2, 3, 4 for March Madness. So then going on to Ben Kenobi, finish the mains, the big 4 mains for a New Hope. I've actually I never liked the Legacy Collection figure all that much. The choreography for that duel was very German broadsword 2-handed dueling, and that figure really can't do a 2-handed saber grip. He's got the kind of the, I don't know what hand that was supposed to be. It was more of a prequel hand, because it's not the gesture he makes for these aren't the droids you're looking for. But anyway, that hand doesn't facilitate the 2-handed weapon grip. The 2012 Darth Maul, when that came out in 2012, I said I feel like this figure was actually tooled in like 2009 or 2010. I didn't think it worked particularly well, even when it came out in 2012. And now, 11 years down the road, I just can't even imagine what they would be able to do with a Darth Maul figure, even if it was just as good as the Black Series one when Black Series launched. I'd be happy with it. And one of the big things that disappoint me about the figure we have is the head is kind of permanently looking down.
It's got weird. Yeah, you can't put his head back.
You can't have him lean up. And to me, Maul's the exact opposite. He crouches and he looks up at Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. So and then definitely love that. And I think that would sell. That would sell by John Miko pallets. That figure to me, and all new Darth Maul. Balin Skull. I don't want to rehash too much what John said. It was very hard for me to put him on there and not Shin Hati, but it was just too hard. This 10 coming up, keeping it to 10 was too hard. We need both of them, but if I only could get one, it would be Balin Skull. And I'll also say, John was very complimentary towards Ray Stevens. One of my great guilty pleasures is Punisher Warzone, which isn't a good movie, but I love that movie, and Ray Stevens was the Punisher in that. Also has Wayne Knight in it too, so you get Newman in that movie too. As with John, Anakin, this one's so long overdue. I'm usually good at this. I'm struggling to think of when the last newly tooled episode, 100% newly tooled episode 3 Anakin was 2005 maybe for the Evolutions. I think that might have been the last 100% newly tooled. And talk about like a main character that's just been languishing for this long. Because the one for the 2010 line was used parts from that Evolutions figure. Talk about a main character that's been languishing for too long. I don't think you get any bigger than Anakin Skywalker, especially from Revenge of the Sith. Again, I just imagine what they could do today with that figure. It would blow me out of the water. Then, of course, these next two on my list, I'm always big about having figures that complement each other, and you can, interact with one another, and you can display them together. And I want them kind of, on par. It's kind of jarring when you have, until we got the new Vader recently, we had a very posable Death Star 2 Luke, but we did not have an episode 5/6 Vader that could pose very well. We had basically, again, the one from 2005 that just kept getting tweaked and passed on. So, I want a figure that can duel with Anakin that's on par with him. So we need that episode 3 Kenobi update upgraded, and then ditto for Obi-Wan for episode 1 to go. If I want a new Maul, I want a new Obi-Wan. I have to have those two together. And that Obi-Wan 2 that came out in the 2009 Legacy Collection, but it was actually planned for an Obi-Wan. The three figures, the episode 4 blue card Obi-Wan, the episode 2 blue card Obi-Wan, and the episode 1 red card. Like, that was actually supposed to be a evolution set that they just broke up into single figures. So again, a 2 trilogy spanning core character that hasn't been updated in over 15 years.
Chris, you always talk about the pose that you want the Revenge of the Sith one to do. What's that pose?
Oh yeah, the Revenge of, and it's going to be swappable hands. He's got to do the way he addresses Grievous, that iconic address. But if they did a purpose built hand to do that gesture, then he wouldn't be able to hold the saber in 2 hands. So swappable hands like the Dark Times Vader. And then, of course, they got the Tonica sisters, just like John. Long overdue. I think there was a period where the demand or the request for the Tonica sisters kind of died off. I think a lot of that had to do with fans just got tired of asking and getting rebuffed over and over again. And one thing that's encouraging is just looking at the results. The Tonica sisters are coming up a lot in the people's nominations so far. It's coming up a lot.
Yeah.
Nice. Ben.
Triple Ben.
For your 3 Ben.
Yeah, I do like that, John, when you do that. That's a good one.
It kills me in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, you've got it down, man. You've got it down. Solid list again. I wonder if you're going to say that about my list. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure. But yeah, good list, man. Good list. All good. You're not going to get any hate for that at all. There's some solid figures on there.
No aliens, no droids, but my response is Hasbro did this to us. It's not my fault. Hasbro's making me beg for these figures.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to my list then, if I can find it. Okay.
Yeah. Time for Tim.
Just looking at it, I'm actually quite happy with it. Let's have a look. Okay. So there's some on here that are on other people's lists. Not too many, actually. Now, as we mentioned, so these are not ranked in any order. If I was doing March Madness, then I'd be giving more weight to certain things because they're given different points, aren't they? Whereas in this, they're only given 1 point per thing, so it doesn't really matter which order you have them in. So like you, Chris, I definitely want a new Snow Trooper. He's on there. And for the same sort of reasons, I've put the AT-AT driver on there. It's a classic, one of the classic card backs, one of my favorites. And I think the offerings that we've got at the moment aren't good enough. I think there's one from the Legacy collection and one from the Saga collection. One's got a removable helmet, I think, and the other one hasn't, or maybe they both have. I don't know. But I think, you know, neither of them are perfect, basically. So they're on there, and like you, because I've started to have a place where I can put my loose figures, I'm now definitely looking at the gaps that I have, and it really, like, it starts to really annoy me, and that's why I've gone for quite a few here from Rogue One, because Rogue One to me is new media, I guess. Still, it's Disney's best offering in my opinion, apart from Andor, which is obviously closely linked to it. Obviously, the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian as well are awesome. But to have what's his name, Chirrut Imwe, and not have Baze Malbus, that is just a killer for me. So he has to be on there. He was definitely on my March Madness 25 as well. And the same for Bodhi Rook. Just complete that crew and be done with it, sort of thing. I was going to put one of the Rebel soldiers on there as well from the team, the strike team, because you probably get a lot of other use out of that figure, but he didn't quite make it.
I'll say too, the Black Series likeness for Bodhi Rook is pretty amazing. So
yeah,
I would like that.
I've gone for Saw Gerrera, and you know, he's Rogue One, but also he's turned up in Andor as well. That is the likeness I would want, though, the Rogue One. Basically, I'm so jealous of the Black Series version, which is peg warmed massively for them. I don't know whether ours would peg warm. I've got no clue, but it's something that I definitely want in my collection. And then if you're going to have him, you need two tubes as well. And again, two tubes turned up in Andor as well. And did he appear in something else as well? I think he might have done. It might have just been Andor. And then there's two of them, isn't there? So you can get both of the brothers out. I've just listed that one to begin with. Lost Bounty continued misuse of the term new media.
Somebody noted in Solo. He was in
is
Solo.
he in Solo, is he? Yes, he is. He's one of the, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Garandan, one of my favorite aliens. I always put him on my lists. If we ever get a cantina of any description, then he needs to be hanging around either inside or outside. I've just always loved that character from A New Hope, so he's on there. Mon Mothma, you got plenty of choice for which version of her that you want, but I've gone with the Return of the Jedi version. Again, we've got loads of characters that could potentially go with her, pilots and whatever else. The Rebel strike team from that briefing room thing. And then I've gone for Chris's favourite, Luthen. I loved Luthen. He was so good. He's like one of the best characters. He's up there. Like, it was between him and Baylan Skoll. And I've mentioned that I really want Baylan. I do want Baylan, like, really bad. And Shin, but they just, and they would probably make my top 25. They're probably like an 11th and 12th place on my list, but they didn't make my top 10.
Tim, I love Luthen. That monologue to me is the best bit of acting in Star Wars ever. I love Luthen. I just don't want a figure of him. I mean, as I've said, I love The Godfather. I don't want any Michael Corleone figure. Just because something's good doesn't mean it translates to toys.
No, that is true. But I don't want them not to make Andor stuff. I think it's got its place. And then this one's on many of people's lists, including I think it was John and Chris's. I'm not sure if it made Jason's. I can't remember now. But Anakin Skywalker Episode 3, we have to have a new version of him.
We're coming in too hot. Sorry.
So I haven't gone OT heavy really. There's Rogue One, I guess, is pretty linked to the original trilogy, but I've got a prequel in there and new media in there as well. But as I say, if I was choosing more, then a lot more new media figures would get on there, like your Balins and your Shins and characters like that. So that is
Good
my
stuff.
list. You're supposed to say solid list, Tim. Yeah,
Solid list. I will say it seems like Imperial troopers always make lists, but Rebel troopers don't always. I mean, I know Baze and Bodhi could be considered, I guess, rebels, but like the standard troopers, you don't see any love. I mean, when was the last time we had a Rebel trooper that was newly tooled in the line?
Yeah.
Rebel Fleet Trooper, I think.
Yeah. But
I mean, as I said, you know, the strike team for Rogue One. I mean,
yeah,
I've said this before. The problem with that is they're all dressed quite differently.
Yeah.
So you can't just really sort of just make one and then go swap the heads and army build. I mean, you could get away with that, but it probably wouldn't look right. So maybe they could do something a bit like they've done with the Shore Trooper 4-pack or something. You know, I don't know, but their outfits are a little bit more different. Some have got pockets and vests and whatever, you know. So, but again, the Rebel Commando from Return of the Jedi, that was another one that I feel they should have done something with this year for the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi. Considering the rest of the Endor stuff that we got, we should have got that.
Agreed.
I'm sad that I didn't think of Garandan when I was compiling my list. It's a long requested. I mean, and it's a needed figure, I think. I mean, we've had a couple, but we can tell you guys that during the submission process, you can actually edit your list on the Google form, so you can actually go out there and make a few tweaks if you want to.
No, the graphic sets it in stone, John. We can't. The four of us can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a whole other list that's full of sequel trilogy. Need my bed solo.
But that's the thing, like, you know, just the four of us, you can see. I mean, there's a few there that are the same.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, just speaks to that everybody wants different things, and that is probably half the, you know, a lot of the problem that Hasbro have, trying to keep everybody happy as well as Lucasfilm.
Especially when you only have 14 new tools a year. It's very hard to keep everybody happy.
Yeah. With the amount of new media that they're pumping out, it's impossible for them to.
Even before it got to the new media, we were getting to the point where I think collectors were specializing. You know, people, I only want Cantina. I only want, you know, Jabba's Palace. Collectors started specializing even before, just when there was 6 movies. 6 movies in expanded universe, people were specializing. And I actually asked Steve Evans, because we witnessed it, and it's kind of funny. We had somebody that was, you know, frequented our site that said, you know, every time San Diego Comic-Con or Toy Fair would go by, they just wanted Mosep. That's the figure that they wanted. I'm just hanging on for Mosep. Then they quit, and then Mosep gets like announced the next year. It comes out for the Black Series 3 3/4 inch. So I asked Steve, I go, do you feel any pressure to like keep all these? Steve Evans, so I'm going back a ways. Asked him, I go, do you feel any pressure to keep all these, you know, different sub interests within the line going? Keep like a little fire burning in each of these sub interests? And they said, yeah, but it's, what can they do? Yeah, they only have so many resources.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's going to be people that want, you know, that are going to submit lists with like characters from Solo and the new and the sequel trilogy. I mean, I quite enjoyed Solo, and I quite like some of the look of the characters and the designs of the troopers and things like that. I wouldn't say no to those figures at all. I've got to admit, I probably do now draw the line at the sequel trilogy. That doesn't really interest me, but there are plenty of people out there that it does. So I've got no doubt that we'll see sequel trilogy figures on people's lists, you know.
Right. And like our group of 4 here kind of leans heavily older. So like if
Yeah.
you have another group of 4 people 10 years younger than us, is a pretty substantially different list, I would suspect.
Yeah.
So that's what's cool about these, though. I mean, it's open to all those. It's open to all comers, you know. So the finals could look very, very different than the list that we've put together.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how this shakes out. You know, at how an elimination style plays out.
Right.
Maybe it will go right down, you know, the chalk, whatever the. Another thing we forgot to talk about is we're not going to reveal rankings and things up front for this. So we're not going to say this was the number 1, this is the number, you know, 2. Here's the top 10. You know, no prejudicing the
top 10, no particular order.
Yeah, you know, so it could, but you know, that won't be revealed, but it still could end up being, you know, the 2 most popular end up getting through to the finals. Who knows? But another thing, what people may not know, and I'm going to air a little bit of John's business, is he's a data visualization expert. So, you know, we're not going to be transparent with that stuff at the beginning, but at the end we will be very transparent with what was done here. And John can put some pretty nice visualizations together for that data. As you know, we were saying, you know, Tim said, you know, just more market research for Hasbro, kind of the stuff that John does. Those are the type of things, like those visualizations, that dashboarding. That's the stuff. That's the language of the people above the brand team. You know, the people that the brand team have to justify decisions to. So hopefully that stuff that John does can help them make arguments, you know, upstream, because it really is the language they speak. You know, hopefully, you know, maybe it'll be like, you know, when you know, it'll be like when you're a kid and you're helping your dad do carpentry, so you nail you know, put a nail into a board that doesn't do anything. Oh, thanks for helping. I'll put that on the fridge, sport. You know, maybe they'll laugh at us for doing this, but on the other hand, maybe it'll be useful, you know, tangible stuff that they can that can actually, you know, help. Help the team, help the line.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris, because afterwards we can add a whole slew of attributes to this as to, you know, how many character debuts were in these lists, and, you know, be able to filter down to that. What from new media, old media, animated, aliens. I mean, we can do so many different intersections that, you know, hopefully it won't be too cumbersome, but at the end of the day, we'll be able to, you know, add some nice additional, like you said, descriptive analytics to help show people, you know, again, different insights into the polling.
Yeah, and the process that we're going to go through is the fun part, isn't it? It's like, you know, gets everyone involved, gets people voting. We get to present the results in hopefully a fun way. But at the end of it, you know, you're not just going to say, "Oh, watch the live streams, Hasbro. There's your top 10." You know, this data is going to be offered to them. So hopefully there's a lot more insights than just, you know, these are the top 10 figures that everybody wanted and they've whittled them down. And, you know, and we're going to make the top 4 out of that 10 or whatever. It's not really how it's going to work. You know, there's a lot more data involved that we can pass on.
Yeah.
I've just brought this up so we can just talk about this, John. You put this together, so you know you're sort of almost like categorizing. You know, you know, it might be how people can come to their decisions about who's on their list or whatever, or when they're voting or whatever. So you know, there's, you know, some people might want to finish the 96 because they're carded collectors. They're not really overly bothered about, you know, all new or whatever. They just want, you know, like FX7, for example, great example. That's a tick of the original 96. Don't really need to do anything to the figure. Just get it back out there on that card back and tick that off. And you've got some others there you want to if you want to just, you know, so I'm
Yeah,
not talking
sure.
about them.
Yeah, I think you know, first and foremost, this was kind of something that Lando and I put together for the Facebook group, but we've had a lot of discussion recently about different collector wants, and I think we wanted to just put something out there to talk about what's the DNA of TVC or even the 3 3/4 line. And obviously with TVC, right, we have the retro or Kenner inspired packaging, but what is the expression? What is it composed of from let's just say Hasbro's point of view? So right, like you're saying, there's and I leveraged the whole character debut stickers that was on TVC 1.0. I
Yeah,
personally loved those,
yeah,
and some of the other stickers they had. I wish maybe they would bring some of that back. I don't know. Some people might not want it obscuring their blisters, but so yeah, there was the whole. I think originally it was let's continue the line as if it never ended, right? And there would be definitive versions of some of the Finish the 96 or the Kenner inspired figures. There would be character debuts, whether that be from, you know, old media, new media, whatever. And then obviously going back to the well and doing a definitive release of something like, you know, yeah, we've had 8 million Luke Skywalkers, but we really need one that's able to put it next to, you know, many other things we've gotten in the line that are definitive. And probably Chris can think of a few that we've gotten recently, or the Leia that's coming up. The Leia that's coming up is going to need Luke and Han and Ben next to her to, you know, and
yeah. You
hopefully
don't want them to
those,
make her in isolation, do you? And then wait
right.
10 years to do the others, and then they're just too far out, you know, in terms of quality or whatever.
Yeah. And then, you know, I don't think this is part of the polling, but it's just part of any line that Hasbro does is putting in repacks, and you know, putting that here is just, you know, making sure it's smarter repacks that hopefully is stuff people want and is successful in the line, and not something that just Hasbro has easily resourceable to bring back into the line. For example, Cassian Andor with photoreal. So you know, that I think that's kind of the DNA of the line, or what the expression is again, Finish the 96, definitive releases, character debuts, and then smart repacks.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
all good stuff. So we've been going an hour and a quarter. We've gone through that quite quickly as it goes. So I'm a bit stuck to do what now? A bit stuck to what to do now. No, I'm joking. But we can talk some more about what we're going to be doing in terms of how this goes from now. So we were talking before in the green room that obviously we have like a week's worth of voting or whatever, and then we present the results on a live stream where we you know, knock the characters out or whatever, and that won't be on my channel. We're going to be sharing it around. Obviously in plenty of notice, we'll be informing you where that stream will take place and what have you. And then I'm guessing after the stream, we'll be putting stuff out on social media as well, showing those results, I guess, guys.
Yeah.
For people that didn't catch the stream.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to make this as interactive and fun as possible, right? So I think it would be, you know, Chris, I think that was, you know, obviously your idea. It's a great idea to just have fun as kind of some of those American Idol or voting shows on TV where you build some excitement and you unveil and go through, you know, who made it to the next round. I think could be a lot of fun and, you know, be pretty engaging.
Go to commercial 3 times before we decide who's the last one to make it or get eliminated. there's some other things, and obviously, when we get into the data cleanup phase, I'll have to be talking to the three of you, because there's some things I'm already seeing in the data, to like Merrin from Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. She's coming up a lot, but people are voting, per source. So I'm worried in aggregate. I think Merrin has a shot at the top 10, but because people are, so I think the four of us will have to maybe make a judgment call on that and say, it'd be a shame to bump Merrin out when she has a lot of votes, just because people are splitting it between the two games, even though it's slightly different appearances, and maybe we just put in a Merrin and let Hasbro figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's probably a sensible thing to do. Yeah, it would be a shame if a version of that character is on a lot of people's lists, then I think it'd be a shame not to do that.
Of course, when you let Hasbro figure it out, like when I think it was Mara Jade Skywalker won one of the fans' choice or one of the write-ins, and it was very specifically Mara Jade Skywalker, and it was like the robed Jedi version of Mara Jade. That's the one that won. And then they released another version of the Emperor's Hand Mara Jade. It's like they did the wrong version.
That's the Black Series one, yeah.
Yeah. See, hey Tim, see, you just did it. You just did it.
What's that?
Yeah.
Your sentence with yeah.
Did I? I don't like this, man. Well. But also, I will stress that if you rewatch this, John ended his sentence with right at the end a couple of times as well.
Oh,
so there you
go. I'm sure.
But in John's defense, he hasn't once said at the end of the day in this stream.
I do say that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jeff Russell, man. Look at that.
I just saw that pop up. Jeff Russell is a Patreon supporter. Jeff.
Yeah.
Thanks, gents, for bringing this event to life. Will be loads of fun. Can't wait to see Max Rebo win out. Let's go, Rebo.
Nice.
Is Max Rebo a creature or is he a figure?
No, he's a figure.
I
call him.
He's a figure. Jeff's a good dude. Very
Thank you, Jeff.
Great contributor too.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it, buddy, man. He's a very generous fella.
Yeah. Great positive person too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I was gonna say, where did I see? I saw something asked. Oh, Riley Bob at 6:14 p.m.
Let me find it.
Yeah, I think he's asking if, or they're asking if this gets sent directly to Hasbro. I would hope it's something that either they reach out to one of us. I not to speak for the TV, the March Madness folks. They've actually confused us before and reached out to me for some of that information before. So I would think they would be interested in this. If not, somehow we can get this sent through PR or whatever. But I'm sure, they'll be interested in it.
And it says on all of our posts that this has got nothing to do with Hasbro. This is a fan-led thing. Right. It's for us to offer that if they want it, sort of thing. It's for something. As Chris said, it's the passion of the fans. We like doing this sort of thing. It's brings the community together, gets people thinking about what they want from the line, all that kind of thing.
And they've asked for more of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So should we quickly talk about creatures and vehicles and things like that now? I think it's probably a good time to talk about that because I don't know your thoughts on that. I mean, would we be able to do that in the future? Something similar for vehicles
Chris,
and beasts?
You always have a good point about vehicle polls and what they should include as well. Do you want to speak to that?
It's got to be two parts. You got to say what vehicle you want and what's the most you're willing to pay for it. Because again, we're doing figures right now. We know we're basically asking for, we're saying, I want to buy this for $17. It's baked into the equation. People say they want a vehicle all the time, and I said, "Oh, everybody wants this vehicle," and they put it out for $150, and everybody's like, "Oh no, I wanted that for $40. You know, I don't want to pay more than $40 for that." So, you know, it's very important if we do any polling that people have to say, "I want," and I'll just use one that I want the most. I want Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and using the N1 as a barometer, I'm going to say I'll pay $110, $120 for it. Unfortunately, it feels like that's what it would cost based on the N1.
I'm with you right there on that vehicle as well.
I just worry with some of that, which obviously it makes a lot of sense, but I don't think as many folks have appreciation for the sculpting and engineering and paint deco that it takes for some of this stuff to be.
Oh, there's no question about that.
To be worthy, to be in the line. So I don't want a $40 TIE Fighter or Vader's Advanced, whatever. I want one that's.
We all want to pay as little as we can, though, don't we? That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, when anything gets released, you know, people always scrutinize the price. It's the first thing they do, and that's fair enough because they're the ones that are going to be paying for it at the end of the day. So,
but it's still valuable information. You know, if people, I think I use this example on every live stream with the Rancor. It's not that Black Series fans didn't want a Rancor; they said they did. When they showed it they got a lot of feedback from San Diego Comic-Con when they kind of snuck in the prototype that was actually. If you looked, it was actually everything else was a static piece. It was actually articulated, so it was kind of a wink, wink. This is a little further along than everything else. You know, people said, yeah, they wanted a Rancor. They just didn't want a $350, Uber Deluxe Rancor. They wanted a $150 Rancor. So it's still valuable information to Hasbro. You know, yeah, everybody wants this vehicle, but we could never do it for their price point, so therefore we shouldn't do it because we can't afford another. Rogue One assault tank that nobody wanted to pay $80 for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Great vehicle.
I think with the vehicle creature, what was the other thing? Playset?
Playsets, yeah.
I would think we'd have to do our best to at least get a good list together so that it could be easier from a data gathering and cleansing perspective. You know what I mean? So if it was actually a drop down where you could select it, because the cleansing I can only imagine would be even crazier for a vehicle creature playset poll. So I would just think it'd have to be in a manner that is easy for us to collect the data and then, normalize it and aggregate.
Do you think a vehicle one is big enough just to stand by itself, just vehicles, not confuse the matter with the other two? Do you think there's enough scope there to just do vehicles? Or
yeah, I think so. I mean, you break it up into classes, like small, medium, large, and whatever else, extra large, whatever you want to call something ghost size or barge size. That's it's like, and then do you have retail and HasLab? You could split it. Are you willing to pay this at retail, but you're willing to pay this for a HasLab, knowing that you're possibly going to get more? It can be pretty involved.
We've asked for polling in the Facebook group on I think medium vehicle or something like that, and people were putting Republic gunships and all sorts of stuff that was not a medium vehicle, and it skewed the results. So I think we have to be very specific and maybe allow a write-in option if it's not listed, but has to be something pre-selected. Yeah,
I think the data cleansing around playsets would be the one that would be really complicated, because at the end of the day, if you wanted a tie interceptor, everyone kind of knows what that is.
That's
but a
true.
play set, you know, somebody's, I don't know, Death Star is very different to another person's Death Star in terms of what that would include, how big it would be, you know.
Jabba's bathroom. Yes.
With walk-in shower. You can't get in the bath. Yeah. So yeah, maybe you know, we'll look at the how this goes, and then, you know, get our thinking caps on for potentially doing something like that, because, you know, vehicles, creatures, play sets, they're an important part of this. It's not just about the figures. So although that's probably the main thing, I think obviously with the world building and everything, I mean, you just see your thing behind you, Chris. I mean, the figures are complemented by the vehicles and vice versa. So
yeah. One thing for creatures, we probably need to wait out Hasbro to make a blurg, because there's no point in doing a creature pull until the blurg is made, because the blurg is just going to win. There's no question.
Right.
Yeah.
it's true.
Definitely. Yep. Cool.
Yeah. So come on, Hasbro, get your finger out. What are you doing?
Your finger out.
Jesus Christ. What have you been doing all this time?
I'm laughing because of the JC that Volker dropped on the last Q&A. I couldn't stop laughing when he dropped
Yeah.
the JC on it.
You have to try and think of something to drop next time, Chris. On the same one, you know, some code word or something.
Do we want to talk about predictions for the last figure standing? What we think could be the last one standing?
We can, yeah. I mean, we know. Well, I haven't looked at the data. You know, I had a quick look to see the sorts of things, you know, just for my research, really, so I know what I'm talking about on today's live stream. But I haven't looked into it deeply enough to see, you know, like the 10 sort of standouts or whatever. But go for it, John. What do you think?
I don't know. I think someone like a Balin Skull can win this, can win March Madness. I mean, definitely a new media figure like that. That's just fresh, relevant, and wanted. And the Black Series got it.
Yeah,
Sort of.
and this is the thing about making the
Sort
list
of.
as well. Making the list is like, you know, I wanted to get Balin on my list, and I've been on record saying how disappointed I've been that we don't have him yet in TVC. But maybe there's an element of thinking that he's going to do okay anyway. He's going to get, you know, maybe there's that. I don't know. But I think you're right. Balin is definitely one that's come up in a lot of conversations and comment sections and things like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he'll do just fine.
Frog Lady. What do you guys think?
Chris, Jason, what do you think?
I think Hammerhead will be high on that list. I think it's hard to pick out any one, really. Just, you know, I think if I were to make a call, I think would be something original trilogy. I just think that's where, I don't know, that's where it feels like it leans to me, as far as people who like to participate in these kind of polls and who collect the vintage collection. I think it's very original trilogy focused and heavy as far as wants go, because we know we're going to get new media stuff because of how Hasbro kind of works with some of that stuff.
That's true. If you starve someone long enough, you know.
Right.
What about you, Tim?
Yeah, if I'm just looking at other polls like March Madness and whatever, there is always that recency bias thing. People want the latest thing now.
Right.
Me, like Chris, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm very like him in that, that recency bias is I want that now, but then in a couple of years' time, if they haven't done it, then my interest for that thing dies pretty damn quick. And then I go back to what Jason. Then I'm going back to the OT stuff because that's what I know, and that's what I'm. And then I'm looking at my gaps.
The gaps.
Rogue One,
yeah.
That's why the Rogue One stuff's on my list. So right now, I want Balin like more than anything. Like, why have we not got that figure? As you say at the very beginning, John, he is for me he was the best thing about that show. But I remember being very, very disappointed at the same time with the Obi-Wan series and not getting Ned B. I remember that because the retro collection got Ned B, so just that annoyed me. But now, when I'm thinking about all the other stuff that we need, he's just not even on my radar anymore. So I think there will be a recency bias for characters like Balin, Shin. But then, as Jason says, there'll be your legacies on there. There'll be your mains. There'll be your Anakin will be big.
Yeah.
You've got Dooku. We've got Dooku now, so he always did well in previous polls. So
Anakin was showing up a lot. Now that you say that, and I think obviously his appearance in Ahsoka probably helped that a decent amount as well, and rightfully so.
Yeah, Trevor Ritchie says Trevor Ritchie's there saying still want Ned B. I do still want Ned B. Don't get me wrong, but not when it's in, if I'm putting a list of my top 50, for example, he's now a lot lower than he was. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean I don't want him. I still want Solo figures, but I just kind of know that we're not going to get them in any meaningful way. So it's almost like for me, it's in my mind, it's like a wasted vote, but that is not how everybody should think. Everyone should put who they want down. That's how it works.
Tuna.
I was just going to say, when you said Anakin and Ahsoka, I still remember Jason's tweet from the day the episode 5 premiered. Jason, I think he said something like, I wish I was watching this on the big screen or something like that. You had like a tweet to something like that effect. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. I knew that was going to be an epic episode. It's tough. To Tim's point, I just want to go back, rewind a little bit to Tim's point. He said he was putting words in my mouth when he wasn't, because that's exactly how I feel. But Tim knows that. That's why he was saying that. I can't think of a better example than the figures in the last 2 episodes of Mandalorian season 3, those Praetorian Guards and the Imperial Super Commandos and Armored Moff Gideon. When those aired, I was like a little kid when you see like that toy ad. Remember, you see that toy ad and you're like to your dad, take me to the store. Like, I want it now. That's like, I was like that, all amped up. Oh, I want these figures now. I want to set this whole scene up. Yeah. And now the time goes by. I'm like, I'm kind of over it. I'm probably never going to go back and watch that stuff. And I don't care about it. But what do I think will win? I'm confident that, episode 4 Luke is going to place high, just because I've seen looking over the spreadsheet, it's all over the place. And Colin's going to place high, but I kind of think what Tim says, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, we won't disclose this. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets the most votes, but then doesn't win. Tim was saying that recency bias kicks in. And if we were seeding, we're not. If we were seeding, it would be the number 1 seed, but it drops off before it gets to the finals. So, if that doesn't happen, I think it would be, Luke. If that does happen, I think it would be Balin winning it all. Yeah. And the thing Balin has going for him is the whatever color. I apparently I'm part colorblind, so I think he has a red saber, but I guess it's orange. Is it orange?
Orange sunburst,
red orange,
cherry sunburst.
Whatever color that is, that saber will, that's evergreen when you have that those, orange, red sabers. They always sell.
Yeah. Said, talked about that character before. He's just got everything going for him, isn't he? Whether he's a dark side user or a fallen Jedi or whatever he is, he's got a mysteriousness about him.
Yeah.
Impeccable performance by Ray Stevenson, I think his name is.
Yep.
And just everything I want from a Star Wars character, basically. And that's that was the annoying thing when we don't have him yet. That one stung a little bit because he was in the trailer, right? It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if you're given this sort of whatever they get earlier than everyone else to sort of base whatever they're going to do, and I can't believe Lucasfilm as well wouldn't say you really need to get this. This is the one you want to do. Seems just odd, that one for me, but I don't know.
But I think it's a thing. Like if you're not a collector, you don't get. We don't always get drawn to the main character. We sometimes get drawn to the bounty hunter that gets 2 seconds of screen time and becomes one of the most popular characters of all time. So I think that's a thing that Lucasfilm probably wouldn't get, and maybe even the brand team wouldn't get, because I think you have to get that stuff. You have to be one of us to know. Like I know it when I see it, type of thing. Like as soon as we saw the trailer, that's the one. That's the or the two that I want right there. Those are the two I want more than anything else.
It's crazy though. Sometimes they don't get that now.
I think you have to be one of us.
One of us.
Google gobble.
Google gobble. Yeah.
And again, Tim for the second time will call me a Hasbro apologist or something. I don't think people like us should be running the brand team. We'd make terrible decisions. People like us, right. we would have the pegs full of figures that the average Walmart customer would have no idea who it is.
But by the way, Jason, when are we getting the Empire Strikes Back version of this guy? Come on. Wow. It's torture. It's torture. Yeah. This is such a great figure. And he's so great, he doesn't need barbell hips. Yeah. I mean, I would like them, but he doesn't even need them. And I wish we could have a Empire Strikes Back version of this deco and articulation sculpting.
Yeah, and then especially so we can get the arena fet, which I would kill for in TVC.
There we go. Yeah. They could even redo those repaints with their proper holster for their pistols.
Oh, I know. That's the one. The vintage comic art one kills me.
Yeah, $21.99. Next year, $24.99.
Is that a Corona, Johnny?
It's a premiere.
Oh,
Corona premiere. You gonna make fun of my Corona premiere and you're drinking Bud Light?
I'm drinking Ultras. What are you talking about? No, I'm just gonna make fun of you because it's out of season. A little endless summer.
Yeah, should have a bit of lime in there,
I had a lot of G&Ts last night, so I'm taking it easy.
John and I were both doing yard work today out in frosty conditions.
What about Jason? I know you got leaves everywhere right now, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah. 40 degrees and rainy. It's great. Windy.
Yeah, it was 50 here. It was 50 here. What was it, Chris, up there?
43. But the low tonight, and I hope Tim is doing the conversion over there. The low tonight for us.
Yeah, you could see the cog. You could see the cogs there, couldn't you?
That's a scorcher. That's a scorcher for him up there.
Yeah, it's there. 25, Tim, which would be negative degrees for you, because 32 is freezing for us. So 25 is 7 degrees below freezing. So whatever that translates into Celsius, it would be negative for you.
Well, that's what it is where you are at the moment at night.
25.
Is it?
25 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, tonight. Actually,
Oh my God.
23.
That's below freezing if you don't know
It's
that.
below freezing. So for you, it would be negative temperatures.
Yeah. Oh, it's not that cold here. No, we've had it just hasn't stopped raining for the past month. Like torrential rain, floods everywhere. Crazy.
That was our summer.
Yeah.
Worst summer ever. Like,
Lawn looks great though.
yeah. Shut those sprinklers off.
We get this every live stream.
Yeah, we do.
The weather report.
The chairs.
10 months.
Did we buy the chair? We bought them together. We got a deal because we went in together, holding hands. We got a deal. I think Chris, right? You found the error on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I was in the market for a new desk chair, so I jumped on the deal, the error deal that Chris found.
So because for some reason, because these chairs had the red accent, it's like a $300 gaming chair, and just the red was $120 on Amazon.
Oh, nice.
So
I need a chair. That's something I need for in here because I'm going to use it as like an office as well. I work from home 3 days a week, so I want it as an office as well. So I do need a decent chair.
The only problem with these is they're almost a little too comfortable. And when I first got it, you can like lean it, rock it back. And during the workday, I almost fell asleep at my desk.
I wouldn't mind that actually. It sounds quite nice. I don't know if Nick Only One is in the chat, but me and him talk, and he's got this fixation on cigars at the moment, Chris. And I know you like a cigar, don't you?
Oh, I love cigars.
He's corrupted me.
Yeah.
Corrupted me.
Yeah, he's been watching videos and stuff on cigars, and he sent me a message saying, I want to try a cigar. And
oh, he hasn't tried one?
I don't know whether he has or not, or it might have been like a long time or whatever. And he asked me if I don't really smoke things like that, but I've had them in the past, but like to celebrate something. If I call them like a victory cigar sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then like the big Cuban comes out or whatever, you spend like, I don't know, £10 on one from behind the bar or whatever, which is an expensive cigar, not in the grand scheme of things, but just for a one-off, And then we're laughing about Hamlets, which are like the ones that you get in the pack of 5 that my dad used to smoke about 30 years ago. And then you take it down like you would a cigarette. These things,
That would be the Phillies over here, the Philly cigars. Yeah. But in our direct message, Tim, I wasn't like teasing. I said I want to be Winston Churchill and smoke 3 cigars a day. I would love that. Just to sit at my desk and puff away a cigar all day.
I kind of knew that you liked them.
Yeah.
When Chris came up for the Red 5 Amy Allen event, we went to a cigar bar after dinner, and we had a good time. We had some nice spirits and a stogie each. I came home, I showered right away and left my clothes in the garage. And I think it took 3 cycles through the washing machine to get the smell off those clothes. So Chris, if you have any secrets or you just don't give a bleep, I need to know how to. I forget what you told me.
I told you that's what a man smells like. Don't wash it out.
I have a thing too, like when I go camping or go to someone's place and like they have a fire outside, I hate the smell of campfire like on me. I can't even go to bed like that. So I'm sorry, I'm not a man. No.
So have you we're not into advertising things on this show, but is there one that you can particularly recommend, Chris?
Yeah, it's quite expensive. It's quite expensive.
Give an expensive, and then like
does it come in one of those metal tubes that you have to unscrew?
No. In fact, the one that like absolutely cannot go wrong with is the Padron. Oh gosh, I can't remember the year. It's the 60 something. I can't remember the year off the top of my head. anniversary series, the Maduro Wrapper Torpedo cigar. Box will run you, a box of 20 will run you, just south of $400. But I'm allowed one of those boxes a year, and I have to make it last for the summer. Oh, with bits of Patron. But I think for like John was saying, you can't go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong with like any of the Patron. Myself, I don't think you can go wrong with the Patron cigars. Anything in there?
$400 is HasLab money.
Yeah, one HasLab a year, one box of cigars a year.
and I can't flip the cigars.
I'm going to talk to Michelle. She knows the secret. I'm going to say this too. Where I live, I'm just north of like, tobacco farms everywhere. And they do a lot of the leaf, the wrap for the cigars. So Connecticut, there's a lot of it in northern Connecticut here into Southwick where I live, where a lot of that is used, and you can see it hanging from the barns. You have these barns open. You can see like the planks open, almost like the barge planks, the windows that are open, and they're just hanging tobacco. Good old Connecticut broadleaf tobacco. So good stuff.
So Chris, if you've got a choice, you can either have you can only afford one. What are you buying, the HasLab or the box of cigars?
Oh, probably the cigars.
Oh, superb.
It was like watching a kid in the candy store when we went to this cigar bar and they had a wall of all the cigars, and his eyes lit up and he was looking through them all and going through and then picked one out. It was very entertaining.
Yeah, they didn't have Padrones, but they had an Toro Fuente that was quite good.
Yeah.
John got a candy cigar. He didn't want to smoke a real one.
It was proportional to our heights. I got a little smaller one. Because, dude, I don't know how you do it, man. Those things, like, again, I'm not a real man. I'm working on it. Man.
I did say to Nick as well that when I went to visit John, action figure grader in Nashville, we're in the lobby where they had all like the sales, the Star Wars tables and lobby sales or whatever, and someone John knows was there, and we were talking, and then I saw him about half an hour later, and I started talking to this guy again. But this time he had like his big, like his bottom lip was like all massive like this, and I thought someone punched him or something, and then I realised that he's obviously got chewing tobacco, and I didn't know it was like apparently it's quite a popular thing over. I didn't know. I thought that had gone in the old west, spitting into a bucket or whatever, But I think they just leave it sitting there, don't they?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, and they often spit into an empty, Coke can or a beer can, and you haven't lived till you see somebody not realize that somebody's using it as a spit and take a sip out of it.
Oh.
I've done that. When we were younger, we were paintballing, we were having a good time. My buddy's brother had a Gatorade sitting there, half full. I went and took a swig and realized he had started spitting in it. And like yacked my brains out. It was terrible.
I could tell you a similar story actually, but it is pretty disgusting, so I'm not going to go there.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Someone asked in the chat, can we get Cubans now? I think we can, right? The ban's been lifted, hasn't it?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I think you can.
We can over here. Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I think that ban has been. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good to sort of open up the conversation about different things in Star Wars. We did lose 45 people. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We're kind of winding up anyway, but we will move back now to the last figure standing. So timelines. What's next? What date is it now? It's the 11th of November now. People need to get their votes in, their lists in, if they haven't done so already. The link is in the description of this video if you haven't done so already, to enter your top 10. So what is, for the people that don't know the date that Thanksgiving lands on, what is the date of that, Chris?
Well, I think we're going to close it off next weekend, right?
Yeah.
Chris?
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
probably Friday night.
Yeah, Friday the 17th.
Yeah.
We'll close
Okay.
it off.
And then when are we doing the next live stream?
Next live stream will be the 26th of November.
26th of November. That's when you've collated that's giving you time to collate all the data.
Yeah.
And then
and hopefully, you know, I'll there might be some, like I said, there might be some debate. So hopefully the 4 of us can, you know, chime in on what to do.
and we'll use the live stream to announce what that 10 is before it goes out onto social media or whatever. That'll be the place to see it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll decide whose channel's that going to be on. So just check everyone's social media that's on this now. And then we'll, you know, give you the relevant links and whatever else you need. But apart from that, has anyone else got anything else they want to add before we do go? We've been going for an hour and 51 minutes. So
I'll
we
just
are
say
going to wrap up soon.
we're at 970 submissions, which is pretty awesome. So hopefully by the end of tonight, we'll see 1,000, hopefully. So
if we can get to 1,500, I'd be thrilled, because I mean that's a real
good sample size.
Yeah, it's a big sample size.
Yeah.
Now that'll represent 15,000 names submitted. That'd be something.
Wow, that's right. Yeah, nothing from me. Please
15,000 Luthans. I like it. It's good.
Well, there's another problem with Luthen. There's Luthen, the antique dealer. There's Luthen Ferrix, and then there's
I don't want the.
I think I saw one. I think I saw one where somebody said Luthen with swappable wig or hat or head or something. I forgot what it was. I saw something that said that.
The one where he's in the mirror.
Yeah, she should add that. You can add those things. It's good color, but it's not going to make it into the file. It's going to get dropped off when we aggregate it.
You put the wig on.
Luthen. Yeah, I like it. Wig. Yeah. So any other points before we go? No, all good. Okay, so it's just gives me time just to say thank you for joining me today. You guys, I really appreciate it. It's always good hanging out with you guys, talking Star Wars, talking TVC, and I'm, you know, feel blessed to sort of be a part of this with you guys. It's awesome. Chris, we'll just quickly go around. Where can people find you? Everyone knows already, but we do it anyway. It's just polite.
BanthaSkull.com. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that.
John Miko.
Yeah, you can find us in SW. We changed the name now because we were worried Facebook would delete us. SW, the Vintage Collection Facebook group.
Oh, just on that, John, I thought Facebook did that automatically because there's a lot of groups I was in that were called Star Wars something, and all of them changed to SW. So I thought it was something they enforced.
I don't know if
did
there's any truth to it, but supposedly some groups were deleted, removed out of nowhere from Facebook. So we just erred on the side of caution and changed it to SW, the Vintage Collection. So,
and you've also got your own YouTube channel as well. Don't forget that, John.
Yeah. John Miko TVC and At the Far Side of Endor on and follow us. We created a Last Figure Standing Instagram account just to be able to share all the information here. Again, thank you, Jason, for sharing that and reposting things. So it's Last Figure Standing or Last Figure Standing. So
yeah, I mean it'll be on all of ours anyway, but that is a place where we'll definitely update, of course, because that is the home of it, and hopefully it'll grow. You know, we can use it next year and whatever. So thanks, John. And Jason, if anyone doesn't know where you live, not live like your house. We won't. You know, we're not going to we're not going to dox you or anything. But you know, yeah. Where can people find you, mate?
Yakface.com, social media on Twitter and Instagram and Threads and Facebook. So, yep, all those good spots.
Awesome.
In
Right
the
then,
Star
guys,
Wars community, in the Star Wars community, asking where Jason is like asking where Taylor Swift is. It's like everybody knows where Jason is.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Just hang on for a second in the green room. We'll have a quick chat before we go. But I just want to thank everybody that's watching for joining us, and also for everybody that's taken part so far in the thing. As I say, we're almost at 1,000 already, which is great. If you guys can do your part as well as part of the community and share any of the guys' posts in any way you can, whether that be on Facebook or Twitter, repost things, all that kind of stuff, just to get it out there to as many people, because you never know, there might be someone that doesn't visit X, Y, and Z platforms, and by the things that you do, they get to see it.
Tim, can you share the video? The video I made? Oh, can we do it? Can we do it real quick? Come on, we got 45 seconds.
I've got it here, mate, already. I love this thing. This is great. Here we go. Hang on.
Don't worry, I'm not going to become a producer director anytime soon.
So this is what you need to. This is what you guys need to do. Here we go.
Last figure standing.
I want more.
What must I do, Master Yoda?
What are we going to do?
Use the Force, Luke. Let go, Luke.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Somehow.
May the Force be with you.
Yes.
That is the best thing I've seen all day.
Yeah. Vote. Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
That's
Thanks
great,
for having
man.
us, man.
No, that's brilliant.
Can we shout out one of the commenters?
Yep.
If anybody hasn't seen the Imperial Communiques stop motion videos on his YouTube channel, you have to check it out. They are absolutely amazing.
Anthony, yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy as
Anthony,
well. And
I met him at San Diego Comic-Con. Lovely person.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll have to get you on one day, actually, Anthony, if you're still watching.
Yeah, he just commented a few minutes ago.
Yep.
Yeah. Here he is.
Nice.
Yeah, great YouTube channel, does some great stop motion. Different angle on how to do a review. It's awesome. Right. That's it then, guys. I'm going to end the stream. So thanks everybody for watching. And you know, in a week or so's time, we'll have some more news for you. So cheers for watching, guys. See you soon.
Tim.
Thanks everyone.
Vote.
Vote.
Out.